You ever drive something so dialed in that you forget it's not real? That's what Simagic is aiming for with the Alpha EVO. But is this wheelbase just another direct drive brick, or has Simagic actually evolved the formula? Today on the Simpit, we're taking a look at the brand new Simagic Alpha EVO wheelbase, a mid to high-end direct drive wheelbase that is aiming for a pro-level feel with a little of that Simagic magic. We're going to take a good look at its design, its features, and what makes it stand out from the pack. And of course, we're going to put it through the ringer out on the track, and we're going to find out if this Alpha EVO base is the leader of the pack, or is it just following in line? As we pull the Alpha EVO out of the box, the first thing that jumps out is the fresh new look. Simagic has rounded off those harsh industrial edges from the last generation and given this base a much more refined, elegant profile. Around back, things get way cleaner. Gone are those side-mounted power and USB ports. Everything now lives neatly in the rear, alongside a full lineup of expansion ports, giving the rear panel a much more polished, purpose-built layout. Up front, the design gets a little flair. You've got these curved front bezels wrapping around a white ring light, subtle but sharp. And right above that, 6 small contact pins that hint at a future expansion, or possibly an upcoming Simagic accessory. The new base definitely looks more refined, more elegant, and ready to race. The unpowered shaft has an incredibly smooth feel. Seriously, it's noticeably silkier than most bases at rest. Add to that a solid integrated quick release, NRG style, that extends a bit further than normal, giving you an added leverage and a solid lock-in. The shell is a mix of an aluminum main body, a black plastic rear cap, and a matching aluminum collar to that quick release. Everything feels tight, precise, and substantial in the hand. For an 18 Newton meter unit, it's surprisingly compact, but don't let that size fool you. It's got some heft to it. As for mounting, you've got total flexibility. M6 side mounts, a 4-point bottom mount that matches previous Simagic patterns, and a front mount option if you want that kind of setup. Alright, let's talk about models, specs, and some bold claims that Simagic is making for the Alpha EVO bases. Now, it comes in 3 different flavors or 3 different sizes depending on your needs or your budget, starting off with the Alpha Sport, which goes for $399 and puts out 9 Newton meters of torque. And then there's the standard Alpha EVO, which bumps things up to 12 Newton meters, but will set you back $549. And then the big dog, the one we're testing here today, the Alpha EVO Pro, which puts out 18 Newton meters and goes for $699. Now, all 3 of those bases are available for bundled pricing along with wheel rims and even with pedals, and you will find them at a slight discount. Now, according to Simagic, this isn't just a spec bump, but this is an evolution of their wheelbases. Simagic is promising a faster, sharper, and smoother force feedback thanks to a reworked servo and signal path. They've also emphasized an open ecosystem, meaning that this is designed right from the beginning to use third-party wheels using a slip ring and a quick release adapter that's already in development. This quick release will convert any wired wheel to this new setup as long as it's a 70mm bolt pattern. This will remove the need for that wraparound cable. It'll just go right into the quick release, which is going to be very clean, very nice. Now let's talk about some of the tech and features inside of this wheelbase. We're talking about that ultra low inertia, high performance servo motor that means fast response and minimal lag. This also includes Simagic's new dynamic force domain filter algorithm, DFDF for short, which claims to sharpen detail while keeping things natural. You've got that customizable RGB lighting because, of course. You've got slip ring tech and that reserved magnetic port for future accessories, likely a display module. Inside, you've got that new active cooling system so that this new compact design doesn't get too toasty during longer sessions, and full multi-mount compatibility, front, bottom, side, or even table clamp if you're into that sort of thing. Also inside the Alpha base is that 5-pole servo motor, a 21-bit high precision encoder giving it super tight resolution. Size-wise, for an 18 Newton meter wheelbase, the EVO does come in pretty small, measuring in at only 317 by 130 by 110 millimeters, and it weighs in a pretty dense 8.6 kilograms. For comparison, the Sport and the regular EVO models are a little bit shorter and a little bit lighter, measuring in at 281 millimeters long and 6.2 kilograms. I kicked off my driving of the Simagic Alpha EVO Pro with the Simagic GT Neo. It's a perfect match. It's got the modern pins, so it's perfectly wireless and works directly with this wheel, and it uses an NRG style quick release. So like all Simagic wheels, it is rock solidly connected to the base, so no surprises there, and something we've covered plenty of times before. And being part of the Simagic ecosystem, it lights up and works wirelessly just as you'd expect. I started my testing off with the default iRacing profile in the SimPro Manager software, and with that it was utilizing about 50% power, and it had a lot of feedback, a lot of road noise and other things that were being felt in the steering wheel. But I can tell you right away, the smoothness stood out. That transition through center from straight to turn in is very refined. The power ramps up cleanly, and under lighter loads, the wheel rotates quickly and precisely. And with this setting, there was a noticeable amount of road texture and vibration coming through the wheel. Not harsh, but enough to create a real sense of speed. It's a reminder you're moving, even when visual cues fade. When pushing harder, braking deep into corners, or tackling high-load turns, the effort at the wheel ramps up naturally. You feel that road noise build with additional friction, and steering effort increases in a way that feels organic, not forced. The Alpha EVO Pro is absolutely doing what I need it to do at this level. Coming off of corners, when I get back to the throttle, I can feel those frictional forces bleed off. The wheel lightens up as grip returns, letting me judge traction and throttle input more precisely. It's a very connected feeling. The responsiveness of the Alpha EVO Pro shines in the tricky moments too. Entering corners a little too hot and being able to catch those minor lockups, or when rear traction gets loose coming off a corner, the wheel quickly reacts, reducing force mid-corner, giving me a fighting chance to save the car or make the right corrections. The ability to shift feedback intensity in real time is crucial for higher end bases, and the Alpha Pro is definitely in that conversation. Now the next layer of force feedback that I am very sensitive to are bumps, curb hits, and anything that really moves the suspension that you should feel in the steering wheel. Whether it's a random bump on a straightaway when the wheel is light, or a massive curb strike mid-corner at full load, the Alpha EVO Pro always seemed to have enough power in reserve to deliver that extra jolt of force without falling behind. Now honestly, it only took a couple of minutes of driving to get really comfortable with the wheelbase, and then it only took about an hour till when I was running some pretty competitive laps, so yeah, I could make this my main wheelbase for sure. Now with that said, there's always room for improvement, maybe a little bit less force feedback, maybe a little bit less of that road noise, because maybe it was a little too distracting at times. So we're going to go ahead and take a look at the software and see how we can get even more out of the Alpha EVO Pro wheelbase. Part of Simagic's evolution with the EVO bases is more than the hardware itself, it's also the software. The new SimPro Manager gives you much deeper control over the wheelbase than ever before, and it starts by downloading that software from their website. Installation is quick, and once installed, SimPro automatically detects your gear and handles any necessary firmware updates. Basically, a one-click and done process. When you dive into the wheelbase page inside of SimPro, the layout breaks into 4 columns of controls and information. On the first column, you can do things like center your wheelbase, adjust the wheel's rotation all the way up to a wild 2,520 degrees, or use any of the presets, adjust the hard lock angle point and the firmness of that lock point. The second column are the basic settings, like force feedback, the overall Newton meter output of the wheelbase, and you can reverse it as well. We have the new filter layer, where you can adjust things between how much detail and how smooth the wheelbase is. You've got the wheel rotation speed and feedback detail. The third column is where you have a few other new features like dynamic prediction level, steering torque assist, old standards like mechanical damper, mechanical friction, mechanical inertia, and the new slew rate control, which is very critical to getting the performance out of the wheel, which is essentially the dynamic response speed of the force feedback signal. It'll really be critical on things like swaying the wheel or hitting curbs and bumps. You have a whole other section here under mechanical for other effects that I really didn't change very much. Then the final one are our ring light settings, where you can turn the whole thing off, you can adjust its brightness, you can adjust the color or the activity of any of the functions like ABS, green flag, yellow flag, white flag, checkered flag, blue flag, pit limiter, and just the static overall effect. And for those who don't want to mess with a whole bunch of settings, we also have a bunch of presets, which I actually found pretty helpful and a great starting point. So for example, with iRacing, there's the iRacing default as well as the iRacing eSport. And then after playing with them both, I actually created my own setting that I load when I play iRacing. So with the wheelbase all dialed in, performing exactly the way I want it to, we can get back on track and talk about some of the other features and performance of the Simagic Alpha EVO Pro wheelbase. So after dialing in those three main settings that we focused on, I was really able to get comfortable with the wheel. And it all starts with the amount of power that's being delivered. I wanted a strong wheel, but I didn't want to get any clipping. And getting just to that point was a big part of getting myself happiest with the wheel. That part was pretty straightforward. And another big thing for me is making the wheel feel like it's alive. I mean, I'm in a race car. I want to feel that sense of speed, but I don't want small bumps or road vibrations to completely take over. With the feedback detail turned just right, I was able to get that lively, connected feel without my hands going numb from too much constant buzz. And then there's the slew rate control, which was really huge for me. This affects the smoothness of the wheel, especially in those transitional left to right moments. I mean, basically you feel it any time the car starts to sway. It's such a critical effect for catching saves and for driving the car right on the edge of control. Dialing that in made the wheel feel natural, like an extension of my body, where my reactions could happen instantly without thinking about what the wheel was doing. Now I do want to point out one thing that occurred while adjusting slew rate. The more detail that I got out of the wheel, the more oscillations started creeping in. So in the end, it's one of those settings that there is a little bit of a trade-off for, and you're going to have to really get it dialed in to what feels best for you. But in the end, I can tell you, the more alive and connected the wheel feels, the more you're going to have to stay engaged and hold on to it. If you turn the slew rate down to settle it completely, the wheel can start to feel a little dead or muted. I ended up finding a happy medium that gave me a great feel without making the wheel twitchy or distracting. At that point, I could just drive fast, focused, hitting my marks, without having to consciously process anything about the wheel itself. The Alpha EVO Pro was delivering exactly what I expected from a wheel at this level. I found my sweet spot running about 10 to 12 Newton meters of force with almost no clipping. And I gotta tell you, the cooling system also impressed me. Even after longer sessions, the wheel stayed nice and cool. In the end, the wheel felt strong, smooth, with fast responses and detailed layers of force feedback. It really checked all the boxes. Now, one thing we haven't talked a lot about is that ring light. And I know some of you out there thinking, oh, that's pretty gimmicky. And you know what? You're right. But once we tie the telemetry to it, there's no denying its function. Now, when I had the larger rim, the larger hub on there, I could barely see it. But when I'm using a formula rim like this, I can see the top almost all the time, and I really loved using it for flag conditions in particular. I mean, because most of the time, your hands and the wheel itself are going to block that light from your direct view. So, it might not work that great for things like traction control. but for things like yellow flags, green flags, and the end of the race, it is absolutely awesome. And let's be honest, it just looks cool too. So in the end, between the power, the smoothness, the updated software giving you so much more control, and that new competitive pricing, this definitely is an evolution of the Simagic bases. After spending some serious time with the Simagic Alpha EVO Pro wheelbase, I put this thing through the ringer. I have hammered on it, and I have definitely formulated some thoughts on how it operates. So to make things crystal clear, let's go ahead and break it down with the good, the not so good, and the bottom line, starting off with the good, that being great pricing. Updated design, better looks, relocated plugins. Improved force feedback. Medium to strong force feedback. Open ecosystem. Wireless third-party wheel adapter, sort of. Mounting flexibility. Functional ring light. Expansion ports and add-on dash. Compact design. Easy to use software with deep tuning options. And now on to the not so good, starting off with those plastic front and back caps. Longer than normal shaft. Trade-off between detail and oscillation tuning. New pin layout. Old wheels might need adapter. And now on to the bottom line. When you look at everything that the Simagic Alpha EVO Pro wheelbase brings to the table, the force feedback, the tunability, the clean new design, and that compact serious build, it's clear this wheelbase is a real contender at its price point. Simagic isn't trying to reinvent the wheel with the Alpha EVO. They're just doing the fundamentals better. Better force feedback, smoother delivery of the force feedback, more natural weight transfer, and cleaner, more polished hardware. And a better, more open ecosystem for sim racers who already have their own wheels and gear. Is it perfect? No, it's not perfect. You've got these front and back plastic caps, which definitely diminish the quality, but it's probably one of the ways they kept this price at this point. You've got the longer than normal drive shaft, and with that quick release adapter, it would really extend your wheel out there far, and that's going to change the geometry of some people's rigs. But honestly, those are small compromises for the way this drives. After spending time with it, dialing it in, and pushing it hard, I can honestly say that the Alpha EVO Pro delivers a fast, detailed, connected experience that you can trust lap after lap. So in the end, I have to tell you, the Simagic Alpha EVO wheelbase with that 18 Newton meters at $699, this thing is definitely punching above its weight, and anybody out there looking for this could probably make it their forever wheelbase. So that's going to do it for our review of the Simagic Alpha EVO Pro wheelbase. If you enjoyed it, be sure to give it a thumbs up. Be sure to subscribe to the channel so you can find out when our next video comes out. That's going to do it for this one. I'm Sean Cole. This is the Simpit, and I'll see you on the track.